Our focus text today comes from the Gospel of John, the 11th chapter. I invite you to follow along as I read. Now a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. Mary was the one who anointed the Lord with perfume and wiped his feet with her hair. Her brother Lazarus was ill. So the sisters sent a message to Jesus, "Lord, he whom you love is ill." But when Jesus heard it, he said, "This illness does not lead to death. Rather, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it." Accordingly, though Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus, after having heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was. When Jesus arrived, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb 4 days. Now Bethany was near Jerusalem, some 2 miles away, and many of the Jews who had come to Martha and Mary to console them about their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went and met him while Mary stayed at home. Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if you would have been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that God will give you whatever you ask of him." Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise again." Martha said to him, "I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day." Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live, and everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?" She said to him, "Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one who is coming into the world." The longer I do this work as a pastor, the more I want to keep reimagining the biblical story. Not to change it, but to help myself and others hear it in a way that isn't flat. Words, something more than just the words we've heard before. Characters we think we know, or maybe don't know, but can't really identify with. Characters without messy lives and complicated emotions. It has to be more than that. And too often, God and Jesus sound like distant, cartoonish versions of themselves, storybook figures instead of real, experienced realities that bring hope right into the middle of our everyday lives. But what if we actually heard this story not as something ancient or shallow or cartoonish, but as something that could happen to you? Let's try. I want you to imagine this. It's quiet, dark, peaceful. You're in that deep part of sleep when dreams feel too real. Then suddenly a noise. You bolt upright, heart pounding. Something woke you, but you're not sure what. The sky is still black. You glance at your phone. It's 2:30 in the morning. And then it rings again. That sound, you know it. You grab your phone, croak out a tired, "Hello?" On the other end, it's your mom, or your brother, or your best friend, and you can tell by the tone in their voice that something is wrong. The words come slowly, painfully. There's been an emergency. They're on their way to the hospital. It's bad. You are awake now. Wide awake. Adrenaline hits like a wave. Covers fly, clothes get thrown on, and before you know it, you've got your keys and wallet, and you're halfway to the car. Everything else fades away. Work, errands, tomorrow's plans, none of that matters anymore. Because when someone you love is in trouble, you go. You just go. It's instinct, it's love, it's what we do, right? Once upon a time, Jesus got his own 2:30 a.m. call. On the other end were his close friends, Mary and Martha. Their brother, Lazarus, was sick, really sick. They didn't need to say much. He knew what they meant. And you can almost hear the relief in their voices as they hang up the phone, because if anyone can help, it's Jesus. They'd seen him heal strangers. Surely he would rush to help them. They wait. An hour goes by, then 2, then 6. The night turns into morning, and Jesus doesn't show. As the hours stretch, Lazarus grows weaker. The sisters watch the life fade from their brother's eyes, and still Jesus doesn't come. Finally, Lazarus takes his last breath. The room fills with silence. And Jesus, the one they trusted, the one they loved, is nowhere to be seen. John's gospel tells us that when Jesus heard the news, he stayed 2 days longer where he was. In Greek, the word stayed carries a sense of delay, of dragging one's feet. So Jesus lingered. He dinked around. He procrastinated. I kind of love that John includes this detail because it's uncomfortable. It's honest. It's human. Because it names something that we all experience at some point in our lives, and that's the silence of God. When you cry for help and nothing happens, when you pray and it feels like your words hit the ceiling and fall back down, when you sit in a hospital waiting room for a lonely kitchen and whisper, "God, where are you?" and all you get back is silence, if you've ever been there, you are not alone. Mary and Martha know exactly how that feels. And so do most of the saints we remember today, people who loved God deeply and yet still had long seasons of waiting and wondering if God had gone quiet on them too. I've talked with people walking through unimaginable things: grief, depression, broken relationships, uncertainty about the future. Some people, they speak with confidence that God is with them, but I can also hear the uncertainty in their voices. Others are just plain angry, not only about what happened, but that God seems to have gone silent when they need God the most. People have stopped believing in God for lesser reasons. If you've been in that space, if you've ever thought God is dragging his feet, is there even a God? You're in good company. You're standing right alongside Mary and Martha. By the time Jesus finally shows up, Lazarus has been dead 4 days. And when Martha sees him, she doesn't hold back. "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." That's not just sadness. That's not just grief. That's an accusation. That's heartbreak with teeth. And the beauty of this story is that Jesus doesn't scold her for doing that. He feels it. He stands in her grief. He lets it move him. And then when all hope is gone, he does something completely unexpected. He calls Lazarus out of the grave. In the biblical story, the silence of God doesn't stay silent forever. God shows up, sometimes late, sometimes not in the way that we imagined, but God shows up. And when God does, life has a way of returning to places that once seemed lifeless. For Mary and Martha and Lazarus, that moment came in a graveyard. For us, it might come at a bedside, a graveside, a dining room table, or in the quiet of our hearts. It comes when hope starts to flicker again, when the fog lifts, when we realize we weren't as alone as we thought. But here's the thing, for some people, for many people, Jesus still seems to be dragging his feet. They're still waiting, they're still grieving, still hoping that the silence will break. And this is where we come in. That's what community is for. We're called to be the presence of Christ for one another, to sit beside those who are hurting, to remind them that they are not forgotten. We don't need perfect words or polished theology to do this. Sometimes what people need the most is for someone to simply show up, to be the reminder that God hasn't gone anywhere. That's really what All Saints Sunday is about. It's not just a roll call for the departed. It's a reminder that we are a part of something much bigger, a great living communion of saints, past, present, and future, whose love and faith continue to ripple through the world. Here at Bethlehem, we remember those who have died this year, names that mean something deep to someone sitting next to you, Or if you're watching from home, I mean, these people, they know you or you know them. Their families are still carrying that grief. And some of them might feel like Mary and Martha, wondering where Jesus is, wondering why healing feels so far away. Last year, after the All Saints service, I was talking with someone who had lit a candle in memory of her husband. And she told me how much she misses him, how sad she feels, how hard it is to be alone. She said she's angry, often angry about having to handle all of the things that he used to take care of. But then she said something that was powerful to hear. She said, even with all that, I am so grateful. Grateful for the memories, for the love we shared, for the years we had together. It's gratitude, she said, that shapes her and keeps her moving forward, even when happiness feels out of reach. Do you understand what gratitude really is? Do you see why the Bible is full of stories about it? Gratitude isn't just saying thank you, it's learning to see your life as a gift, your relationships as a gift, your very humanity as a gift. Gratitude is the lens that lets you see God's love at work in your life and in the community, even when life is joyful and hard and everything in between. And here's the truth. We're not always going to be happy. No one ever said that we had to be. But the biblical story and the life of Jesus invite us to practice gratitude anyway. Because gratitude is what opens our eyes to the gifts of God that are already here. So as we remember the saints today, as we think of those still waiting for God to show up, maybe gratitude is the thing that helps us move toward them. Gratitude becomes our response to grief. It's what turns memory into love in action. So maybe you're in a season where God feels silent, where Jesus seems to be dragging his feet. Hold on, you are not forgotten. You're surrounded by saints, some living, some gone before you, who stand with you and whisper, you are not alone. And somewhere, even if you can't see it yet, God is on the way. And this is the hope that we have. It is the gospel that we share. It is the good news for today. Thanks be to God for that. Amen. As a way of going deeper into this story and applying it more directly to your personal lives, we have 2 reflection questions for you this day. I invite you to take these, use them to your benefit, talk about them with a friend, journal about them, pray about them. You also can pause the video after we give you the questions so that you're able to do that. So here's question number 1. When in your own life have gratitude and grief lived side by side? What did that experience reveal to you about God's presence in both joy and sorrow? And here's question number 2. How might practicing gratitude, not as a fleeting feeling, but as a daily discipline, reshape the way you see yourself, others, and the world God loves? And here's our challenge for you this week, because we want our people, our congregation, we want you to not just reflect, but also practice. So this week, name one person, past or present, who has been a gift in your life. Write their name on a piece of paper, light a candle, or reach out with a note or call. As you do, thank God specifically for what that person has taught you about love or grace, and notice how gratitude begins to soften and open your heart.